We have Seth with us now. Seth, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
John, good to be here.
All right. So, we hear Joe Biden's speech, a lot of sweetness and light in there, but also a lot of thinly veiled attacks on Donald Trump's supporters. And so we look past this speech to the policies we expect Biden to implement in the next couple of days. One of the things he's promising are these $1,400 stimulus checks for everybody. But when it comes to immigration, in terms of unifying the country, his promise to legalize 11 million illegal immigrants, again, is not a sign of unity for the country, and especially for business leaders.
Well, that's right. And you're coming into this, right, with extremely high unemployment rates, while we recovered a big chunk of the original 22 million jobs that were lost. We still have a long way to go, and flooding the market with new labor through amnesty or whatever process necessarily isn't the way to do that. You do that combined with what he talked about this week, which is raising the federal minimum wage to $15. Now you're going to see jobs go the other direction in that way as well. So I think, listen, Joe Biden's going to get a lot of latitude on the economy, I think, in the short term. Economic hinges on the vaccine rollout. How quickly can we get the economy back open? When I say the economy, I'm not talking about the stock market. It's doing quite well. It's done quite well. I'm talking about small business owners, and they're the ones that are going to be impacted the greatest by these policies that Joe Biden is talking about rolling out.
When you look at his cabinet picks, too, Janet Yellen to be his Treasury Secretary, we were talking with Mark earlier about, what a return to the status quo this administration seems to be. How much does that concern you?
Well, listen, Janet Yellen is a known commodity, and I think from a forecasting perspective, that pick doesn't concern me all that much. What does concern me is Bernie Sanders overseeing the Budget Committee, that concerns me from a perspective of, are we going to continue to see, record deficits, even more so than we've seen over the last 20 years? And by the way, that's a Republican and Democrat issue. A Republican in the White House hasn't done much to deficits lately either. Inflation's going to come back soon. That's going to benefit banks, but it's going to hurt small business owners, and it's going to hurt the lower and middle class.
It's interesting now that we have a Democratic president. Again, I will imagine that we will start to hear those chants of debt and deficit being a focus again of Republicans. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, this is a rallying cry of the right. I would just hope that we actually start leading that way. Again, we always recognize that in times of war and in times of pandemic, those things have to go to the wayside in some ways. The federal government has the ability to print money, and print money they do. And that's going to ultimately lead to inflation. Janet Yellen as a pick, she has managed things more balanced in the past, but she's also not afraid to raise the deficit, especially when interest rates are low. We'll see if that plays out in the days and weeks and years to come.
Yeah, that inflation boomerang, everybody's waiting for that to happen. You do see still a runway here, obviously, with this new administration, a Democratic Congress, Bernie Sanders being the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee. You do expect the Fed to keep printing money, don't you?
That is certainly in the short view what's going to be happening. And again, we'll see how that plays out. While interest rates are still low, that's not necessarily the end of the world in the short term. The markets will do well. The stock market's going to do well with an influx of cash. And we need to make sure we're supporting small businesses and people who have lost jobs. But at the same time, we have to get serious about the debt. John, you and I have talked about it before. Eventually, those chickens come home to roost.
They always do, sooner or later. Seth, great to see you. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.